My Gigi.
What's up, everyone? This is your everyday consumer, Mikey G, and welcome to a Black On Live. And today I have a turn that off. And today I have a very special guest. He is the CEO of his own rideshare app called FareRyder. Everyone, and he also might be my cousin. We ain't figured that out yet, but we'll get the hang of it. Introducing Alan Graham Jr.
Hi everyone, how you doing? I think that you might be. I think that you might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an old joke out in in the countryside. They always say it's like, oh, is it? You see someone and you're like, oh yeah, they're at the party. 9 times out of 10, it's your cousin.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
the
I'm starting to get those vibes too because of what you were saying about where your family's from. Like, that's okay. We're gonna
man.
live
You
a tree a little bit.
remember those big Sunday dinners?
Yes.
I
My
miss
dad was
those.
always trying to feed me chitlins and I didn't want any of them.
Man, well, that's enough about that. Tell everyone about FareRyder and a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'll talk about FareRyder first. I'm not that important. So FareRyder started back in 2019. And there were so the story was kind of crazy. So when we first started, I had stopped working for the DIA because I was telling you I used to work in Quantico.
Mm,
And I stopped working there. And I remember I was getting in an Uber or a Lyft. I don't remember exactly which one it was. And just talking to the driver, and they're just talking about how they hated it. Like, I mean, point blank. Like, it's not really a secret, So I don't really feel bad about saying that.
okay.
It's just a reality. And they were talking about like, we don't know how much the customer paid. If I want to find out, I've got to ask. Um,
Mm,
and then trying to figure out like I made 65% in this one ride, and then this time I may have made 68. This time I made 75. I'm not really sure. So, just speaking to them about that, I'm like, man, that stinks. And I was like, well, let me try to drive myself. So I started doing that, and I hated it. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Like, it was great meeting new people and,
Mhm,
I like that portion of the business model that they have. But
right.
when it comes to, like, the amount of money, there's times I made, like, $6, $7, like,
Yeah.
we don't we price ourselves at a certain point that, like, the driver's never gonna make less than, like, $10, but no matter what. But anyway, we'll get there.
All
Um
right.
so yeah, so I remember after I did that, I picked up somebody near a library. His name was Meech, and he was
Big
like,
Meech?
"Yeah, yeah." And so Meech, he and his girlfriend, now fiance, they were living in this hotel. I think it was like a Days Inn or something like that. And he was just telling me about his situation or whatnot. And I lived in a pretty large house, and it was just me. So I was like,
Mm.
come live with me." So yeah, so I did that, and so he came and lived with us. And so I was telling him, I'm doing rideshare, whatnot, and I had another car that he could drive. It took him a while to get his license, but once he got his license, he started driving too. And we started like, just doing this and doing it. I was like, why don't we just make this a thing? Why don't we just make it a thing? But we put our names on it. So then we incorporated our friend Brianna Jones, someone that I've known for years and years and years.
Mhm.
And she was helping out down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I used to be stationed there.
All
And
right.
we were kind of like pooling our resources. If you want to call me a communist, whatever, but we were pooling our resources and whatnot. And we were like getting our rides on, what was it, the Square app. And 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 we still just do this today, but we would go out to the malls, and like we had like little business cards we made, and like with a little bit of money we had, and we were like
Right.
putting them on places and whatnot, and that was crazy. And we did that for a while. And also we had Tristan Day. She's no longer with us right now, but she helped as well at the beginning.
Okay.
um and one day I was just like, we really need an application because this is getting kind of unsustainable. Um, and so I just started calling people. and I called a company in Texas called Icara.
Mm.
And they were a green company. They cared about the environment. I was like, I like that. I'm a tree hugger. I like that.
Okay.
And talking, and called the secretary. I don't remember her name, but I remember she she was just like, yeah, so you know, uh, are you black by any chance? What
Okay.
that is, when I speak to people on the phone, they don't think I'm black. Like when I speak, like that's been always a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, I was like, yeah, I am. She's like, the owner is too. And I was like, okay. So she's like, let me get you in touch with him. So I spoke to his name is Rock Robinson. So shout out to Ikara.
Icar.
And
All right.
yeah, and he was just talking about like his business model and how they do things, and want to be sustainable when it comes to electrifying the United States,
Mm-hmm.
especially in like black owned communities, because a lot
Mm.
of communities don't have a lot of charging stations for there's a whole other reasons for that. I guess we can get to that later.
Yeah. I want to hear more about that too.
Right. But anyway, yeah, so we spoke about it, and I was just like, well, I want to start things here under my own brand and whatnot. And he was like, well, we were thinking about doing a SaaS model, which is like a subscription as a service.
Mm-hmm.
It's like modular, like you can pay for different things that will be unique to your application. And so we did that. And I happened to I got borrowed a little bit of money from my parents, and but it wasn't like super expensive. I think it was like $5,000. Oh, it wasn't even just my parents. It was my friend Nick Smith, who was one of the founders of the company. He lives out in Texas now. Uh,
Okay.
and we paid for it. And the application was great. I mean, like it got people from point A to point B. And
Mm.
we formed a partnership with the Nova University in Woodbridge area, and we started doing rides out there. And I know you said you live in Dumfries, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so kind of close to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for a little bit, and I was living in Woodbridge at the time. And then we're like, hey, we just need to go to the city. And we had a long discussion about that, whether that was feasible with our team. And during this time, I had started building my team. So I had just kind of gone in my Rolodex with the different kind of military personnel that I knew, and
Mm.
just started kind of getting those people I know from my past. And so we discussed it. And we are like, yeah, let's go to the city. So we go to the city and we get on this interview. I believe it was the Donnell Radio Show, who also still promotes for us. I don't know if that was the name of it back then, but she had myself and my chief visionary officer, Ellis Varela at the time, on the show.
Mm.
And on the show was a guy named Just Paul. And Just Paul is like kind of a big name go-go, in DC.
Okay.
And so after the interview, we kind of jived a little bit, and we were like, hey, why don't you come on and help us to like launch and whatnot? And he was like, yeah, sure, fine. And he made this post. And this post that said, this is just for us, or something to that extent. And I think if you like scroll through our Instagram at the very beginning, you'll see it.
Okay.
And that was around Black Lives Matter movement, and that
Mm.
like it blew up, right? Like we had a fleet of Teslas, so we had partnered with someone else in another state to get a whole bunch of Teslas here. We had 10 Teslas like rolling around at the same time on the application. It was great. Like it was really great. And then
Yo.
COVID happened.
Yeah. A lot of businesses didn't make it through COVID. I'm glad y'all did.
Yeah, like it was really disheartening. Because you spend all that time and effort and
Mm-hmm.
sunk cost, and we had made so many great connections over the years,
Mm.
a couple of years that we were operating, and and then I got deployed. So
Ah.
yeah, so I went to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia,
Mm.
and I came back, and I figured, I hadn't really done anything with the application. I kept talking to Ikara, the developers, and when
Mm-hmm.
I came back, they were like, hey, we're on like version like 5 now. And I was like, oh. And so looking at the new interface, it was really, really nice. It was really, really gorgeous.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, I started to start up a little bit again. So at that time, I was teaching at the University of Maryland, ROTC,
Hmm.
and I met Master Sergeant Casey, who you saw pop in like earlier. Donnie, he's like good old crusty Master Sergeant. Like, are we starting on time? What's going on?
You can tell he's military.
Right. Like the late officers like strolling like
Right.
no, but yeah,
You
so
started the live too late. I need y'all to drop down, give me 10 right now.
oh no, he would probably do that. I'm probably gonna have the earful after this. So but anyway, so after that, like we had started up again, and we were like trying to do some stuff in Las Vegas and also back in DC. And it was hard because like we were busy with still doing ROTC. And then at the same time, like the application, there were certain things in the application that I wanted changed.
Mhm.
And I didn't really feel like it was where it needed to be at. And so
Right.
we operate for a bit and we made some really good money. Like it was great.
I
And
like that. I like that. Because I've known about your business for a while now, for about a
oh
couple of
really?
years, a year or two.
Oh,
Yeah, and I didn't approach you or anything because I was still getting my stuff together too. But I came across it and I was like, oh, it's kind of buggy. And I'm trying to, but
mhm.
I noticed that now I re-downloaded it and I was looking. I was like, "Oh, this is smooth. It's
Yeah.
working great. It's working just like all the other apps. It's smooth. I like the look. You revamped your whole look and marketing. I love it. Looks great.
Yeah, and yeah, not Nadia. She's our chief marketing officer, and she's amazing. She's
Great
amazing.
work.
But she's not even a marketer. Like,
Oh.
yeah, like, but regardless, yeah, and with the application, you're right. Like, there's a lot of things that have changed. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, there's still bugs. Like, there's a new beta on my phone right now. There's bugs in here.
Oh.
But like we're trying to smooth them out before
Mhm.
to you. And then plus, like we try to put as much information as possible on our website, whatnot, so that way people can, if they have a problem, like send us a screenshot and we'll try to fix it like as soon as possible. So, but
That
anyway,
does help.
yeah. So we shut things down again. I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, shut things down. I started working elsewhere for the government, and then I remember I got a phone call from
Mm.
one of our investors who invested a lot of money, and he knows who he is, so he's probably like, mm-hmm. And he is funny enough, his son and I served together, and so he was sergeant first class. His father, who's a large investor, he's a sergeant major, and then he brought in another sergeant major that helped invest. So it's a lot of military in this. And he called me. He's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And I'm like, and I was like, I just don't, I'm not happy with certain things in the app, and like I'm paying for everything, so I'm
Hey.
saving money to be able to do that. And he's just like, yeah, 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 yeah. What are you doing? And I was like, you're right. Okay. He's like, let's go. Let's whatever you just let's get back. And I think also there's a little fear there too
Mhm.
because of what happened last time. Last time we blew up. And so we want to make sure that we had our ducks in a row, like we had enough drivers. We had, we want to
Right.
make that because the prices are lower than Uber, like they're just lower. And the reason why
Okay.
we can do that is because we just pay our drivers more, we pay them
Mm.
80%, like flat period. And
Okay.
and so that way we can like kind of lower our price. And then like there's not many of us, there's like 10 of us. Like less, there's
Yeah.
not many of us. So like it's not like we're not greedy either. And we didn't start
Mhm.
to we started to make a profit, obviously, but we didn't start this to try to enrich ourselves so much that we're like other people
Mm.
may have seen on the news lately. Uh
Right.
so with that in mind, they were like, all right, you need to go find more investors and let's just go and do that now. And so Nadia, our CMO, invested some money herself. Uh,
Mhm.
the old investors came back and they're like, "Hey, here's more money. Here, what do you want to do? Here's money." I was like, "Okay, nice, thank you, I appreciate that."
Mm.
And this is about the glass ceiling, right, man? Like, not everyone's
Mm.
as fortunate. Like,
Right.
that just happens sometimes to some people. That
What's the secret of finding good investors? Because you seem to, like you said, they just, hey, I got picked up a couple thousand. Here you go.
About it's about creating the passion and the stirring in them about what you're trying to do. Like, I mean, if you're if you're not super passionate about what you're doing yourself, you
Hmm.
probably can't convey that information and have that person like feel some type of way, see some kind of difference that can be made with whatever you're trying to create or whatever you're trying to offer to the public.
Right.
So I think that FareRyder is one of those things. I'm like, well, everyone's a customer. Like
Hmm.
transportation is never going to go anywhere. As much as we should have just public transportation and not have all these cars like screwing up the ozone layer and whatnot, like
Hmm.
obviously, but that's just not, we're not there yet, right? Um,
Hmm.
that's a whole another story. So, with that in mind, I just kind of when people can see the vision after I talk to them about it,
Hmm.
then I know that I can, have them, support FareRyder in a way.
Okay.
And we don't have a lot of investors. A lot of the people were that own stock in the company were sweat equity at the beginning. And a
Hmm.
lot of those people aren't with us anymore. Like they're still investors, right?
Right.
But
Right.
they're just not with us right now. They've got other things going on in their lives. But also we didn't have a whole bunch of money. Like, we didn't get a business loan. We didn't get PPP. Like
Hmm.
we didn't get all that stuff. And I kind of didn't want, and I honestly, I didn't want more investors. And I've talked to the staff about this before. Like, I didn't want more because, like, I already feel beholden to who's already given us money, you know,
Hmm.
and I have an obligation to them to ensure
Right.
that they make their money back and more. And I know we're gonna do that. Like, that's inevitable,
Hmm.
like Thanos and stuff. But, at the same time, like, I just didn't want to do that.
Mm.
But when you find someone that is passionate about the company and want to work and for the company, and I think this is something that Rock told me from Ikara. He was like, "Why have investors if they're not going to contribute?" Right? And
Mm.
so we have that now on our team, where if they're an investor, they're contributing, and like actually, making those phone calls and sending out those emails, and because it's a technological company to an extent. uh,
Mhm.
because of that, like things aren't super hard to do. Like, we're just sending an email, right? Or we're
Right.
conveying our message, through marketing or whatnot. And a lot of those things are automatic. So it's not super duper hard. So the people that have the hardest really are the drivers and
Mhm.
our,
Yeah.
and our programmer.
Okay.
um, so.
No, it's good that you like you said when y'all started out, you were actually getting in the car driving.
Oh, I still am.
You still are. So you get to see
You
you
there's
I
no
like that.
you cannot what we say in the military, right? Like you can't order your soldier to do something you're not gonna do yourself.
Exactly.
So, like, how am I supposed I mean, it's not just like I mean, it's a quality control thing too,
Mm,
because like
right.
one, I can see how other drivers are doing if I want to meet them out like in the field or whatever.
All
Um,
right.
but also I can check on the application because like I mean, admittedly, I probably know more about the application than anybody else does. So it allows me to kind of go out there and check and see like, if there's something not working, we see
Mhm.
a lot of bugs that way. But most importantly, the customers, like
Mhm.
finding out what they're seeing. Because a lot of times when I'm like checking the application and whatnot, like I'm looking from an admin perspective. So I'm not necessarily always seeing what the customer is seeing. So this is a way for me to engage with them and be like, well, what problems do you have? Because sometimes they won't say anything. Like if they got
Right.
from point A to point B and they're like, oh, it's a black owned company. So like whatever. They didn't like, no, obviously we need to be held to a higher standard than that.
Right.
Everyone else
Right.
is held to a higher standard than that.
Mhm.
So, I just want to do some quality control and make sure that they're happy too. And then find out like the prices too, right? Like, how much were you going to pay with Uber and Lyft? Like,
Mhm.
are prices fair? Did they raise too much? And then I juxtapose that with the driver, like, okay, if they're saying the prices are too high, all right,
Mm.
that in mind, like, what's going on with the driver, and is that enough money, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
No.
Um,
You're a real life undercover boss.
oh yeah.
You know?
Sometimes I tell people, sometimes I don't. Like,
Yeah.
It depends. It really does. Like if there's sometimes you have rude customers. That happens sometimes. So like sometimes if they're kind of rude, I'm just like they're like, "Hey, what happened to all your Teslas?" I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. Oh, well, you should talk to the owner and find out. Like, I'll get right correct. You're right.
I'll get on that.
You're right. Because I care how much that CEO is making. Yes, I care.
Oh
No,
man. You going green. I like that. I like that about you guys as well, is that you seem to really like want to go green, go electric, and take care of the ecosystem and whatnot. And that's a huge different way of marketing for that. Uber can't say that.
and we try to be careful with what we say in that. So, like when we started,
Mhm.
we were all electric. We're not now, and there's a
Ah.
reason why we did that.
Mhm.
Proliferation of electric vehicles, and
Mhm.
and are they able to be affordable for people? So,
Mhm.
like Tesla, like a little while ago, they said to start bringing the prices down or whatnot. So we got people that drive electric vehicles. We have people that drive hybrid vehicles, right?
Mhm.
We're trying to stay away from fully gas vehicles. But at the same time, like my vision is well, okay, I'll tell you a story because it kind of dovetails into what I want to do in the
Mm.
future. And I'm sure my staff's gonna fight me on this, but I guess we'll figure it out. Um, so the other day we had a driver, I won't say her
Mm.
name,
All
um,
right.
and she was working for the illustrious Lyft, and she got disabled because the customer apparently told Lyft that she smelled like alcohol. Well,
Oh.
this woman's older. She
Mhm.
doesn't drink at all. And she told me after we had some discussion about it, because I think they posted this on a forum or something, a Uber Lyft forum.
Mhm.
Messaged her about it, was asking the questions, and she was just like, "Yeah, I don't drink. Period. I don't drink."
Mhm.
And on top of that, like the woman had made a comment about how the price was so much. So what she
Mm.
speculates is that the woman complained just to complain to get her money back,
Mhm.
realizing and having empathy, knowing like, hey, that's gonna screw over, which it did.
Yeah.
Now, and like, luckily, she's married. She's got, they have finances. They're okay, right?
Mhm.
What if like, what if that wasn't the case? Like, what if that was like me a few years ago when I didn't have a job and all I did was drive, and I
Mhm.
got for Uber? That's a whole nother. I can't even drive for Uber anymore. Serious. I can't. So anyway, so I told her, I was like, look, I got my car sitting here and it's not doing anything. And they're taking away your app, they're taking away your, car. And I was like, how much are you paying for a car? I think she said it was like 295 or something. And I was
Mm.
like, okay. I was like, all right, well, you can either pay 250 or we'll like just cut your percentage down a little bit from 80% and you don't pay
Mm.
for the car. But now you have a car to drive. And she's like, well, is there going to be any down payment? How much is it going to be? Well, I'm like, nah, like just come get the car. And it
Wow.
was there distrust immediately, obviously, right? Like
Uh,
immediate like red flags, like
so you just gonna give me a car, huh? Nah.
Tesla, or you out of your mind. So I look at vehicles and other things as assets. Like you need to utilize them you can utilize them to make money, right?
Right, right.
That there's like a little bit of a sacrifice for the company, like whatever.
Mhm.
So anyway, I remember I met her in the parking lot of a McDonald's, and her son was on the phone, who happens to be a vet actually.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, this is really weird. Like, I don't know about this or whatnot. You can hear him on the phone. She's just trying to tell him, like, look, he's okay. He's okay. And I'm like trying to train her in the car. I'm like, yeah, no, like, all right, you push this button and then you push this button. And I'm just like trying to tell her what she needs to do. And he's just like, I don't know about this. It's really weird. Just give her the car. And I was like, okay. So I finished like training her. And then that Tuesday, she had turned her car back in a lift. And I met her son because he came over and met her so she can get into
Mhm.
the car. And he's just like, there's no hidden fees and there's no this and that. And I'm like, nah, man, like here's the car thing, and have a nice day. Bye. It's like Netflix we had. So, like, yeah. So that is really what I want to be able to do in the future is probably still rent the car for a lower price, but just purchase the vehicle. And then that way people, because a lot of people want to drive, but they just don't have vehicles, right?
Right. Yeah.
We want to be able to offer that. Like I would love to be able to have it where there's like a parking lot and people just walk in and they talk to the guy. They're like, all right, how many hours you want to work? Like, oh, I want to work this long. And depending on what program they're on, they're on the percentage or they're on the fair drive where they're getting paid hourly. And then they go and get in the car, drive out, do their rides, come back and turn the car back in.
Yeah, so that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah. So 100%.
So what makes FareRyder different from other rideshare apps like Lyft and Uber?
Our drivers aren't a second priority. Like our drivers are a number one priority. Like if you go to our FareRyder website and just look at our drivers page, it will lay it out pretty clearly, like what my vision is when it comes to how to treat people and how to treat drivers. Like the other day I was having a conversation. I was like, I want the drivers to have a union, and they're like, well, they're contractors, they can't have a union. I'm just like, how do we organize it? I'm like, so you don't want to be the one to organize it. They should organize. I was like, well, they should be able to allow how to make it easy. Like I don't want to be like Starbucks and all these other companies that like, or Amazon, where they spend millions of dollars just a union bus. And I'm like, you are fools.
You rarely hear that come from a CEO that you want their workers to have a union.
The other day I was at work. I was like a little while ago because I kind of work from home now, but I work at the Pentagon. So I'm talking to my supervisor, who happens to be my fraternity brother out of nowhere. Like, yeah, happens to be. And he told me that he's like, you're going to get something's going to happen to you. I was like, why? Because he used to be an executive at a company before he joined the Army. And he's just like, something's going to happen because the things that you're saying, like that, I don't know about that. You have a fiduciary responsibility to make a profit. I was like, we're going to make a profit. He's like, but you have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much profit as possible. And if you ever watched the show, The Young Turks, they talk about it all the time. They talk about like a company does have a responsibility to be profitable. That's true. But I also pick my investors that had some empathy and they want to make a return, but they're also not trying to be a billionaire where all this money is sitting around not benefiting people. So like that, when it comes to like how we're different, that's one, but like that dovetails into fair pay. So I was talking a little bit about it earlier, and we're going to set you up with that too. But basically with like fair pay, I wanted to do this like a year or so ago. And the way it kind of works right now, because I was thinking Uber and Lyft are able to transport money immediately to their driver. And I was like, why can't we do? Oh, someone's trying to get a ride. Donnie, you're probably watching this. Can you make sure that gets actioned? All right. Anyway, so I was working. So I was like, well, why can't we figure out a way? Because if we want to help homeless veterans, like obviously there's a financial aspect to that. So why don't we have it where the communities themselves fund their own projects, but it can be done like in an instantaneous fashion? And I was like, we're not here trying to get like super duper rich. We're going to make money, but we're not like we can cut off a percentage point, like from 100% of whatever we make in revenue, we can cut 1 percentage point away. And we all agreed, like, yeah, of course, like that's not a big deal. Let's do that. So with that in mind, we're like, all right, so we'll call it the fair pay system. And the way it will work is anytime, let's say you shared your code, your code's Black owned world. Well, that's what will probably end up being.
All right. No.
So you have in our application, when you go down to your profile, your company, your profile, your My Account, there's something in there called company. So because there's different types of codes you can put into the application. So with company, you put in this code, which would be Black owned world, and it would automatically apply whatever discount we associated with you. So like, for instance, we're the official transportation sponsor for Beltway Battles. DC's Beltway Battles is a huge fighting event coming up. We'll be transporting their fighters and all these other things, right? So they get a code. And as they proliferate this code around, every time a ride gets done, 1% of that revenue gets deposited to their own account.
Hey.
So it's not like, I just think like hundreds of thousands of rides happen every day
Mm-hmm.
on Uber and Lyft. And I'm like,
Right.
if you just took a small percentage of that and like just start, because I kind of want to like just target a city and then square away that city and then go to the next city, depending on what project they utilize. But we want to do that through kind of like the school system. So basically the way we would do it. So for instance, my son's school, John Bain Elementary down the street. I was sitting in there, I was getting his immunization stuff and his information. And a little girl came in, she was like rubbing her tummy or whatnot. And the administrator is like, "Hey, are you hungry?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so she gives her like an apple. And there's like a basket of apples. So I was like, "Are you just like really into not going to the doctor, or like what's going on with the teeth?" And she's like, "No, we pass out these apples to kids because like they're hungry." And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, is this like a normal thing for this specific school or the school district or whatnot? She's like, "Well, yeah, there are some children that are, food insecure." So I said, "Well, why don't we just make you a code and you guys can just promote the business? You guys can have a little competition between the different grades or however you want to do it. As the rides come in, whatever you're funding will just continue to grow." And that's how we want to kind of just leapfrog from project to project. So as the rides start coming in, as the demand starts going up, then those 1 percentage points, depending on what code was used, are going to start just being funneled into these different projects. And then you don't have to wait for the government to do anything for you. You can just fund yourself. If you look at FareRyder more as a community-based service rather than just a huge corporation, which we're not, people see, we were talking about that earlier. Like people see that there's 10 of us, like we may be everywhere, but there's not, man. We have full-time jobs, like
Right.
so, like we're busy. And so with that in mind, like we just wanted to just figure out a way to just, have in the mindset of the customer, like this is for the community. Every time I support the rideshare, we're supporting something specific for the community. And then also, I mean, like from a business standpoint, a monetary standpoint, because obviously that's baked in, like it cuts back on marketing costs. Like you have someone that has, so you're an entrepreneur yourself, right? So I know that like you're gonna share your own code a lot. Like I put it on like my car or something, or every now and then I blast it out because someone's gonna use it. Like, oh, you're already less expensive, and I get a 5% discount on top of that. Someone's gonna use it. It would behoove you to make money opening your mouth, right? And we wanted to make it that easy. And then
that's great.
Yeah, and then plus like Nadia, like or the CMO, like she works constantly. Donald Casey, like Master and Casey, he works constantly. Like Andrea, like all of our staff are all working all the time. I'm lucky because I happen to have a type of job that I can kind of be outside of sometimes, but that's not all the time either.
Right.
So
so it's like win. So
oh wow,
like,
they did that really fast. Like, look, they already made your code already.
Hot dog. I gotta put that in there. Put it in the comments. Yeah, if y'all need a ride, by the way, use Black Owned World.
He's like, so here's my code. I'm at 555.
This gas prices are too high, and I'll try to save some money. So
what's that meme with that guy? Like the rent prices are too high.
I saw that meme. It's crazy.
Oh, I need to get in touch with that man.
Yeah, I wonder, as gas prices, does that even play a role or a factor within having a rideshare app and whatnot?
Yeah. So like if you're driving a hybrid car, like, I mean, that's another reason you're still going to have to put gas in the car, right? Like that is a contributing factor. So I'm pretty sure that when I used to drive for, I think Lyft, they had like a gas program or something. We're looking into doing something like that. So book more rides, we have more money, more gas cards. Okay. So yeah, like I think that's something we want to offer. So what we're going to be doing with the website is in the driver's portion, there'll be a place where drivers can just like put things in. Like, I mean, they can join our Discord too, but
Mhm.
there'll be a place where they can put like suggestions and stuff like that. So we've been taking those manually lately, but we're putting it on the website soon. So that way we can change some things. So because there's obviously things that still need to be changed, like when we're talking about what makes us different, with the fair pay and our culture, but also
Mhm.
fair drive is coming out and fair pair.
Mhm.
So fair pair is like the brainchild of Master Sergeant Casey. And I like the idea, so we're gonna go with it. But basically, if you go to work, let's say you're commuting into the city and you're
Mhm.
gonna go to work at whatever point in time, you just go in there and it's like Facebook or whatever. Like you go through the profiles and you pick someone and find out what their times are and are they close to you, blah, blah, blah. And then you pick that person. Now you got your own chauffeur. Like I need to get home, I need to get
Mhm.
back. You talk to that person, and then you don't have to worry about like new people all the time if you don't want to. So
Mm.
that's fair pair. Fair drive is what I'm super excited about. So
What's
that
Fair Drive about?
fair drive, that's gonna be a little bit before that comes out.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty robust program that we're making in our system, the way we're making it anyway. But basically, as revenue comes in, it will trigger something in our system where it's like, hey, there's enough money to lose. Sounds weird, I know, but but in this particular scenario, we're gonna operate at a loss,
Mhm.
where I know that I'm willing and able to pay $15 a day and $15 an hour, excuse me.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna work an 8-hour day, that's like $120. So I wait until double that amount of money has filtered through our coffers, and I have $120 to lose. I find a zone that's very hot, having a lot of a lot of rides coming out of it because we have like
Mhm.
a map that shows us that information on our back end, and we position that driver into that zone. They're guaranteed the money. We just want them to sit there so that where there's coverage. And the reason why that's important is because one, Uber and Lyft won't do that. Like there is a
Mhm.
whole thing in California where they're asking to pay hourly or something to that extent, or give them like healthcare and things like that. And we're not there
Oh,
yet. We're gonna get. We want to get there in the future. But
hey.
for them, yeah, I mean, like we should, right? But for them, they didn't.
Mhm.
And I think they like shut things down for a little bit. I mean, like, don't quote me on that, but I know that there were some problems over in that area. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't want to, not only is like, I don't want to deal with that kind of mess. At the
Mhm.
same time, like, it's just like it's a moral and ethical thing. Like, I mean, yes, if you want to be paid by percentage because we pay you 80%, and you know that with the demand, you're going to make a lot more money, then so be it. But if you're like,
Mhm.
I got a family, I can't like hunt for rides.
Right.
Like I've been there and done that. I'm sure you have, where you're like sitting in Alexandria, like crap, like ping me, please. It's lunchtime. Like you don't want to have to deal with that. So if we can offer an hourly service,
Mhm.
hourly pay, then you're gonna make. If I sit there for 8 hours, I'm gonna make $120. Period. And then if I
Yo,
want to
that's good.
drive after that and make a percentage, okay, but like, and then they'll be able to just pick it. So
Mhm.
it will trigger, pop up, like, okay, pick it. It goes away for everyone else, and
Mhm.
then they do their time, and they go. And I think that's how we're gonna, keep drivers around. Um,
Yeah.
like if you know that you're gonna make this amount of money, cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes us different. Like we have these programs that Fair Pay's coming out first, and then Fair Drive. We already have Fair Express.
Mm.
If you are an entrepreneur and you have a service, please let us know. We're gonna have a page on our website for that. I know Nadia is working with our web developer for that. Um, and basically, you'll be able, if you're like, hey, I do hair, or hey, I serve at a restaurant, or I'm a restaurant owner, or
Mhm.
whatever it happens to be, we'll have you contact us and we'll put you on the app for free. So like Uber and Lyft, when they deliver your food, they charge a percentage of that cost, and
Right.
and that goes to them. And I'm
Mhm.
like, why are you doing that? If we make money off of the ride, why am I also taking a percentage cost
Off the food.
the food that I didn't make. All I did was transport a thing from point A to point B. So like, why am I benefiting from the food that was made that doesn't make any sense to me?
Mm.
Maybe there's some math there that I don't know. I'm a psychometrician and I do statistics and stuff, but at the same time, like I'm not like the guru of business, but it seems to me that the reason why all these prices are going up, and it also seems to me that Uber and Lyft are making record profits even during the pandemic, that might have something to do with it. So I'm just like, okay, well, no, we'll make money off the ride. So if you have a deliverable type of product, go to our website and let us know or send us an email. And then we'll put you on the application. We just need your pictures and stuff. And that's it. And we'll transport your stuff and it won't cost you anything. And that's another place for you to be showcased. So
Awesome. So when it comes to rideshare apps and whatnot, one big issue that everyone's worried about is safety, right? You hear those stories on the news, someone gotten into the wrong car or got into some driver's car, and not even just for the customers, but also for the drivers as well.
right.
What does FareRyder do to help mitigate or prevent any safety issues?
So I think the biggest thing is, so one, we're adding to our application like the ability to see everything about the driver, right? So that's coming out very, very soon. It's actually one of the first things we're paying for next this month. So on top of that, it's about when we communicate with the drivers, it's not just through the application. It's like kind of more of a person-to-person live thing. So, let's put it this way. If I am driving for Uber and I'm trying to get in touch with someone right now, I need someone now, and I text, I'm probably not going to get anything back for a little bit because they're trying to route. It's not person to person. They can pick up the phone and call the driver line, and someone will answer. Period. So you're gonna get that type of like person to person touch. You're not going to have to feel like I can't call someone immediately. Now, obviously, if they have a problem, they obviously do need to call 911 because that's the emergency services, right?
Right.
But at the same time, we also make it where you can easily message within the application to your driver. And our logo is pretty distinct. So we have these new logos that we're putting on the vehicles that are glow in the dark. So yeah, so it sticks out pretty well. Like, and then plus, we do have an advantage that we're a pretty new company. So, you're gonna see that lit up logo. You're gonna know it's one of yours, and not be confused with the Uber, Lyft, or something that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, you got safety covered and all that. Yeah, it's kind of I hate hearing them stories about how somebody went missing and all that. Like,
well, actually. So just today, our CMO was talking about, safety for women, right?
Right.
It's a big deal, right?
Big deal.
I mean, like, I don't think that you and I could even imagine the types of things that they have to think about just getting into a car that they don't know who they are, right?
Right.
One of the reasons for fair pay. But one of the things we're going to be trying to do is partner with Planet Fitness, because they are everywhere and they're a safe place to go use the restroom.
Right.
So if a female needs to go, and plus they have showers and whatnot there. So we're looking to be in contact with them soon so we can form a partnership, so that way our drivers, if they need to use the bathroom or feel safe, they can go to a lit up area like Planet Fitness, and they're always open. So.
Oh man, that's a great idea.
And that wasn't me. I mean, like, I can only think so far. That was Nadia. Like, she brought that, that woman perspective. I mean, that's why it's important to be as diverse as possible when you're staff, right?
That's true. I told my fiance, we went on our honeymoon, and we had to stop off at Puerto Rico, I think, and we had to get a ride share. We used, I think it was Uber. We used Uber to get to the hotel.
Okay.
But I told her before the Uber came, I said, now, when he comes, we're going to throw our bags in, but let me get in first, and then you can get in. And they're like, well, I'm the type of guy, I'll open doors for my lady, and let her get in first. But
raised correctly.
Yeah, yes.
So you are, Graham. You are.
Yeah, we related. We cousins.
Yeah.
Come on over. We're gonna have some chicken. But
Oh,
but oh man. So I told her that. I was like, yeah. It was like, what's the reason for that? Well, if the guy's still behind the wheel, you get in first, he can just peel out and all I can't do anything. But if I get in first, he can peel off, but he's not gonna be happy with what he gets.
mm. You see the
So
problem, you see the problem with that though?
mhm.
Like the inherent problem that people just don't feel safe about it, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a huge issue. Like I wish that there was I'm sure there's other kinds of tech. I mean, like we're always looking for new ways to like improve things, and I'm sure there's
Mhm.
other type of technology. There was a company down in Florida. Oh man, this lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and I can't remember the name of his company. I'll let you know later. But they were
Mhm.
based solely. They were kind of a ride. They were rideshare. They were based solely on safety. And it was
Mhm.
really, really cool the way they did it. So I need to call him, but because he did call me like 2 weeks, I didn't call it back. But yeah, we're always looking for new ways to make people feel secure and
Mhm.
want, and that's and like I said before, that's why ensuring that the types of drivers that we're bringing on board are reliable and
Mhm.
consistent and proactive, and above
Right.
all else, safe. You
Yeah.
know, it's important. So,
Yeah. Well, we got a comment from Big Kev right here.
yeah.
He says, it would be nice if drivers can instantly get paid in cryptocurrency or customers can pay using cryptocurrency. That would be very different. Any thoughts on that? Any chance that might happen, or is there something that we
There's
don't
a few
know?
things that's going through my mind. One is if Big Kev is Kevin Norton, um, the regional one of my regional managers, because he's
Mhm.
always talking about cryptocurrency. And the last time that I've seen things about cryptocurrency, wasn't doing too well, Kevin.
Then-
So if this is Kevin Norton, we can talk about it. You can text me. Did you already text me, Kevin? You can text me about it. Maybe. But I mean, also that's also a development question, right? Like
Mm,
something that we want to spend our money to have developed for that. And is there an interest within the demographic for that too? Like our
mm,
demographic is anybody and everybody, but at some point in time, you're gonna have different, over the time lifespan of a company, your demographics may change.
mhm.
So it depends on like, hey, I know we're gonna have a younger audience utilizing our application, but at the
Right.
same time, like are they all going to want to use cryptocurrency? Do I want to be a crypto bro? I don't know about that. I had crypto, and then like I saw what was happening. I was like, sell, 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 sell. I probably shouldn't have, but
No, it goes up and down just like the
yeah,
market, but
but it's been like down.
yeah,
So
it's on the down slope, definitely. Especially after I forgot what some guy that was a big crypto guy got arrested for some illegal stuff. But
oh yeah, what
yeah, I
that's
forgot his name.
Bankman Freud.
Something I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think SBF,
But
but
it's not even just crypto is great. I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's down, but it also has a sort of marketing power as well too, right?
yeah,
Whereas some things get a bit more looks. Just the fact that they accept crypto, even if it's like for a temporary amount of time, people be like, "Oh, they take Bitcoin. Oh,
mm,
this that this." I've heard of things on the news that get more. Like so and so started accepting Bitcoin for as payment and da 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 da.
yeah, but yeah, not only that, like what Elon Musk is like, I think he's getting a class action lawsuit against him for Dogecoin or whatever. Like,
Oh, Dogecoin changed so yeah, Elon Musk changed his logo or something to a Dogecoin, and then it shot up just like that. It shot up because people thought, you know how Elon is. He be messing with people.
yeah, I can't stand him. I
I'll tell
can't.
you.
Like people are like, well, you do a lot of things with electric cars and Teslas. And I'm like, yeah, I love Teslas. I love the product, whatnot.
Mhm.
Him though, no. So yeah, I just I don't know. Maybe I don't like a lot of CEOs. Like I think
No.
like every time I talk to someone, they're like, "You're too nice to this, to that, whatever." Like, but I'm just like, all right, well, make the choice to be that. Like, make
Mhm.
the choice to be different and not
Yeah.
just accept the status quo and like, oh, well, this is the way it's supposed to go in business, so that's what you should do. And I'm like, no, like, why don't you just do it yourself and do it how you want to do it, and you
Mhm.
know, and ensure you're not the only one benefiting, you know. So
What I like is that you saw something and you said, "I would want this to be ran a certain way." And instead of just going to them and telling them like the people you've driven, you said, "Imma make it myself. Imma make it happen. It should be like this. Imma make it like this." And that's instead like, I like that about you. I think that's great.
I mean, it takes a lot of if you want to be an entrepreneur, it takes so much work. Like
Mm. Talk a
it
little bit about that. Talk about the work and the impact it's had on your personal life.
I've had cars repossessed, my credit sucks. I went through a year where I had no money. Um,
Oof,
how it affected my life, like it's yeah.
it's tough.
I think your video went out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened just now. I'll have to figure out
But
what's going on there. I'll work on it while you
oh no, you're
talk.
good. Yeah, it's just yeah, it affected my life a lot. And when it comes to being successful at something, like it's just really about perseverance. You don't have to be the smartest person. I didn't get like a master's degree in business or anything. Like
Mhm,
my first degree is in music. Like my master's degree is in psychology. So, you know, I just knew what I wanted something to be. And then
mhm,
I learned the crap out of the system to ensure I knew how it worked. So, like when I mentioned earlier, like I probably know more about the application than anybody else on my staff. That is for a few reasons. One, because you can't really lead if you don't know what you're talking about. And
mhm,
then two, you know, I can liaison with, you know, the developer and understand what he's talking about as well.
mhm,
But at the same time, like you gotta just be able to lead by example. So like I'm always on there. Like I'm I don't try to be in operations much. My Master Sergeant Casey, my COO, like tries to keep me away from that.
mhm,
I'll do rides. So if a ride comes in and I can do it, I will go do it. But because I like to do it, and like I said, like I need to be out there and seeing what it's like to drive. Um, and then also like you just have to have constant communication with your staff if you have a staff, like
mm.
redundant communication, and unfortunately all the time. Like this morning, there was a few shenanigans going on in our chat, and we shenanigans at Bennigan's, and and yeah, I made a comment like I dream FareRyder, it's not okay. Cause I just like because no matter what, that's all we're thinking about. Like, how do we make ourselves better? How do you improve? What did you miss? Going over the last meetings that you talked about earlier, ensuring that every time you have a meeting with a partner, you have a follow-up after action brief with each other to ensure that you didn't miss anything. I forget things all the time, and they ensure that I, you know, am kept abreast of what's going on, so that way I don't, you know, miss things like this interview or something. But it takes up a lot of time. So if you want to be an entrepreneur and you're serious about it, then like stop being your own stumbling block, I say. Like,
Oh,
you know, I'm not going to pretend like there's not a glass ceiling because there is.
right.
Sometimes you need to have money. So loans are a thing if you can get a loan. Um,
Mhm,
but I won't pretend like I didn't have a little bit of money because I did. You know, I got some
mhm,
money from some people and my parents, so I did. But if you do have the resources or a way to start. And if you need help, ask someone that's done it and will help you do it.
right.
Like that's the reason why we made Fair Express, not to just have another source of revenue and to build demand. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, so drivers aren't sitting around doing nothing. But at the same time, it's a way for people that they're like, I just don't know what to do with my business. I don't have a website. I don't have any money. I have the product. I have the idea. What do I do? I can do drop shipping. I'm like, get on the app. Like, just take the time to take some pictures
Mhm,
and figure out your prices and put it on the app. And if you want to change something, we can change it for you. But at least that's another avenue for you to be able to get yourself out there because like we're growing when it comes to who's finding out about us. That's
right.
inevitable. That's gonna happen. So as that happens, ride the gravy train. Like like
Mhm.
come on with us. Like Don't be that. I mean, like I've taught. Oh my god, it's infuriating sometimes. Like especially when it comes to black-owned businesses. So I'm not gonna like pretend like I'm gonna pull punches about it.
Right.
It's infuriating to talk to some people and they have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
They have a vehicle to do so, and they choose to not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that might be like the type of person that people are, like your environment where you grew up at and like how you were raised. It
Mm-hmm.
could have something to do with that. It also could have something to do with like most of my staff are military. We have a very strategic type of mindset, and we can see things in the future and plan for things in the future. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of ingrained in us. Like you don't stop, you don't give up, you just keep doing it until it succeeds. Um, but not everyone is like that, and that's okay. If you
Mm-hmm.
if you have something that can edify the world, then find someone that can help you get to that point where you are edifying the world. There's just some gaps that you might have that you may not know how to approach it or do it. So come to someone that can. Come to FareRyder.
There you go. That's the way to do it right there. It- So it's a lot of it's a lot of working parts that go into it, like getting to the app service and whatnot. I'm sure limitations are uh what's the word? Numerous in something like that.
My Lord.
What was one of the biggest challenges you had to face, and how did you overcome it?
Oh God. There's a lot of, I mean, like working in the parameters of the way we used to operate last year and the
Mhm,
application's limitations. Um, it costs money to develop.
mhm,
And luckily we get like the real great discount when it comes to development with Ikara. So that helps.
mhm,
But at the same time, like there are a lot of things that I wanted to do in the application that I just simply could not do because we didn't have the money to do so. And so overcoming that was hard because we had to fit getting customers into the car with their mindset being on demand mindset,
mhm,
supposing that with at the time we were more reservation based. And that changes demographic too,
mm,
which also narrows your market share. And it's hard to get over that because it's like, all right, well, there's certain types of people that plan. That's what a reservation type of base service is about. People that plan. Well, what type of people are they? Right.
mm,
And you can,
right.
professionals, whatnot, it doesn't really matter like your age or anything like that or who you are. Like if you're a type of person that plans, you'll be cool with that service. But that narrows things a little bit. And in addition, there were things in my head that I wanted to get into the application that I needed the finances to do that. So, I just had to, the way to get over the hump is just really like trying to learn so much about your own system that
Mhm,
you can make certain portions about it work. So like at the time we had a subscription service. Well, now a lot of people are getting subscriptions with us because we tried to plug that back then. Uh,
mm,
it was really just finding new avenues of approach to ensure that your revenue is still being made. Like we were delivering for a company called High Standards, we were delivering marijuana for them. That was very great. We had a good time doing that, and it
mhm.
helped figure out how to do that piece. So now we're looking at doing that for other companies in DC. So it's really like just a lot of trial and error. I think the other thing was a lot, biggest hump, being deployed and having a lot of your staff quit.
Oh, oh,
That was crappy. And
mhm,
there's like that there was a lot of emotional stuff when it comes to that because like the company at the time or and still now is incorporated.
mhm,
So, there's a lot of things that come with that. And when you're cuz COVID hit, we weren't bringing in revenue. We had all these vehicles that we had, you know
mhm,
what I'm saying? Like we were having the same struggles as everyone else was having.
mhm,
And then plus on top of that, I'm like 7-hour time difference. On top of that, I'm working, like I'm tired, so that was tough. And then
Mhm.
and that was another reason why I really hadn't done anything, because I had to rebuild the staff, and rebuilding the staff sucks because you have to find reliable people that you don't have people that you don't have to wonder if something's going to happen when something happens.
Mm.
Like it's a trust factor. Like, you know, even with the new staff, like you're gonna have growing pains and things like that, and we're new staff, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but for the most part, most of us are military personnel. We understand the chain of command, and things work out just fine. And we're pretty blunt with each other about things, so I'm not really too concerned about that. But at the same time, for any entrepreneur that has a staff, you have to be able to trust them that when something happens, they know the procedures to get that thing done without you having to step in. And so that's really about ensuring that they're well trained. Um,
Mhm.
but on top of that, a type of person that has tenacity, but also like gumption to just go ahead and do something without being told. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Initiative. So yeah, it's hard. That's hard too. Like just finding the right people to work that are going to see your vision and do everything within their power to get to that goal. And we're doing that now. We only, we launched like a week or so ago, and we already are, official sponsors for a couple events that are pretty huge. So yeah.
Yo, that's great. That is awesome that you guys came back stronger than ever, it seems like,
Yeah.
And like you said, it seems like you have a really strong team, man. And that's tough that seems hard to find nowadays.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know. Massar and Casey and I were talking about it. And he asserted like maybe it's like a generational thing, and I was pushing back at him with that because I was like, well, I'm not sure about that. Like it might be how someone's raised, kind of thing,
Mhm.
or the environment that they were in. And we were going back and forth with that, but we don't know. Like
What
we don't. I don't truly know what it is. Like there are some people that everyone has their own strengths.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes we end up in roles in our lives that maybe
Mhm.
that's not our strength. And it just takes being an adult to admit that,
Mhm.
hey, that's not something that I'm good at. And then alleviating that pain point by leaving that team or leaving that
Mhm.
organization or coming to an organization that features your strengths and what you're good at. Because like
Mhm.
plenty of times in the past, we had franchise owners and they're like, hey, we want to do this. I'm like, all right, these are this is the folder. You're an adult, so you read. And I have like I think it's like 15-page document that it literally seems like I'm just talking to you, like I'm talking to you right now. It's
Mhm.
not boilerplate written up. It's like, hey, you're gonna be a franchise owner, and you're gonna do this next, and now you're gonna do this, and it lays it out. And I'm like, and I gave them like lots of videos for training, um,
Mhm.
so they can just look at the back end and learn it. And I'm like, all right, you got everything you need. Go out and succeed.
I
And
would say I would say the secret might be that your employees and people you work with, they all have a military background from what it sounds like. So
yeah.
that might actually help out a lot. You got that
Oh,
discipline there.
yeah, that is the biggest thing.
Mm.
Uh, I don't have to worry about them. Like
Mhm.
when I put out a task or put out my intent, they understand, they ask for guidance, and then they drive on and get the mission done. And
Mhm.
very few circumstances that I'm like talking to them, especially my COO and my
Mhm.
CMO, asking them like, hey, why didn't you do that? It's more like, hey, Alan, why didn't you do what we asked you to do? Because
Yeah,
they're on top of their stuff. So yeah.
that's awesome. So, where do you see FareRyder in 5 years?
Oh, we're nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. 5 years. Yeah. Um, so the plan, it's a pretty simple plan. It's just to do a little bit of leapfrogging, just like
Mhm.
basically DC is our hub.
Mhm.
We utilize events because events you need transportation, right?
Mhm.
And the B2B business based on the fair pay model to just partner with wherever we want to go. So we're looking at, there's a festival happening. I think we're meeting on with them on Monday, and there's a festival happening in Austin, Texas. We've done some light marketing there, but not really a lot. What we do is we go out and first find drivers that we can pay hourly for a certain amount of time, so
Mm-hmm.
coverage, and then you just go find B2B businesses and raise the demand and be like, hey, here's a code. You're going to make more money. Open your mouth and talk about us. That's it. That's the business model. Use fair pay so that way the business is benefiting by talking about us. We proliferate our ideas and our culture for our drivers, and then from there, we make money for the community.
All right, awesome, man. Well, I gotta tell you, fully impressed. I love the business model. I love the ideas. I can tell you're one of those very creative minds. You can, but I gotta tell you, it is great. I love it. I love FareRyder. I haven't booked a ride in a long time, but I'm definitely gonna when I need one. I'm gonna do that.
Please do. And there's different services too. There's Fair Luxury. So we just partnered with another company, and they're on the application. So it's a luxury service, primarily out in the Alexandria, Arlington, Springfield, Woodbridge, Dumfries area. And
Hmm.
they're like, black car services, really nice SUVs, sedans, those types of things. So for someone that wants to pay a little bit extra money, you can also get that as well.
All right. Well, we got another question right here from my man in Shattered Aspirations. He's asking, how can we invest? You already
No,
getting some more investors right
no, no more.
now.
Did you not hear what I said? This is embarrassing. Um,
you are a unique CEO. You're the only one I know that will be like, we don't want your money. Take
it's like my number
the
is 555. Like now, no, no. If you want to talk about investments, so you can send us an email about it. So you can email us at info@fairrider.com, or my email address, Allen, Allen, the correct way to spell it, dot Graham, like the cracker, Graham, at fairrider.com. So if you want to email us, or you can, yeah, both of those emails should work. Or you just go, or you can call because we have a phone line. Or you can like DM me. Like I'm pretty accessible. Like I'm
Mhm.
not like I mean, if I want to talk to the Uber CEO right now, I probably have to get an appointment. But
Oh. Or you just ask for a ride.
yeah, he'll be like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm
So I
coming
want to
for you."
talk to the
Yeah, I am. I'm coming for you.
I want to talk to the CEO. I know you got these investors out here. They're just yelling.
Shut up and take my money.
Take care of it. I know, right?
Right? You're going this money. I want 10% interest, by the way.
Honestly, it should be a jump start for them to start acting right? Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
anything that should be like, oh, FairRyder is like not being poop heads. Like, maybe we should act right. Let's do that. And I'd be cool with it because I'm like, we're not trying to be like billionaires, right? Like, the goal is like to get homeless veterans off the street, which soundbite, like it's
Hey,
ridiculous that this
that
is
is a
the,
problem.
yeah, like it's the richest country
Mhm.
in the world.
Mhm.
And we have people that have fought for the country that are outside right now that just survived through the winter. Like it's the craziest thing. And that's another reason why the company exists, because I'm like, let's get big already fast. Because
Mhm.
like there is a way to just get them all off the street. The amount of money that is made by Uber and Lyft that's left over, they could be utilizing that money to build houses for people. I mean, like people should not be in houses. People should not have health care. People shouldn't.
Mhm.
There's all these things that is ridiculous to me living in this country that I'm just like, what is happening? So if we can affect that ourselves by just utilizing something we're already going to do anyway,
Mhm.
let's do those things. Do you think it would make sense to do a crowdfunding campaign? Get out of my head. So,
There
so
you go. My man Shattered Aspirations asked that.
yeah. Oh, wait, what does that say?
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, that's so neat how it like pops up. Anyway, so
yeah.
it's like, so yeah. Yes. We're already planning on doing that.
Mhm.
I just don't want to do it yet. I
Mm.
want I want to have some of the mock-ups for what fair like what like, fair pair might look like, or some of the mock-ups for like fair drive. And
Mhm.
because they're developing fair pay right now, if I like tell my developer like stop doing what you're doing, I need some mock-ups for this, he's probably gonna punch me in the face. Yeah, and
Mm.
we're still working through some bugs on the beta version right now. So
Mhm.
that's like pushing back fair pay. But it's gonna be ready before the event, so I'm not really worried about that. But either way, I want that done. So when we
Mm.
start designing fair drive and whatnot, when those mock-ups come out, we can utilize that in the crowdfunding campaign. Because like if I don't see a picture and you're just telling me, I don't know if what it's really gonna look like. Like, I'm not Stephen King. I can't I write okay, but I'm not the most descriptive. I think it would be better for there to be some kind of like video made or whatnot, but we need mock-ups for that and what that might look like.
Mm.
And that needs to be designed, and that means I need to design it, or as in like give input to the developer on what it needs to look like. So,
Mhm.
but yeah.
All right, all right. Well, shoot. Well, we're gonna wind it down. Go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you, all your social medias, and where they can download your app as well.
Oh lordy lord. So we we're all over the place. So we're on Facebook at FareRyder. Our we're on Instagram at FareRyder. And we're on Twitter at FareRyder. And we're on LinkedIn. And guess what it is? It's at FareRyder. And so
Fair right.
so we're
There you
on
go.
yeah, we're on all those social medias. Our website is fairrider.com.
Mhm.
Please go to that. Please go to that because we're putting out all kinds of different marketing and whatnot. But I think that people really need to read what we're about because we're not
Mm.
the same. We're
Right.
really different. So I think people really need to see the vision, and then they can be like, oh, okay. Because so yeah, there's that. We're on YouTube too. So if you're a driver and you need some training, there's YouTube videos at FareRyder. So yeah,
At FairRyder. So,
at
Fair
FairRyder. And then
FairRyder almost everywhere, y'all.
yeah,
Instagram,
and you
Facebook.
can
You
yeah, and you can download it. Like you just have to spell out FareRyder on your Google Play Store
Mhm.
or iOS, and bam, there you go. We can do your music. Guess what? Well, you have to spell it right, man. Oh, no, I don't know. Shattered Aspirations wants to invest, but he did not spell it correctly.
He'll get it right. He's good people. I actually did an interview with him a couple months ago, 4 or 5
Oh,
months. Yeah.
I know.
He's
We need to get the
he's
spell check squared
he's a
away.
spell check on
If you type in Uber wrong, it will spell check it back. Like
that.
we need to get to the specifics. We need
But
to embed.
but if you need a jingle or something, I would say they're good. He's good.
Oh, really? Like jingles
He's
for real? For real?
yeah, he's a great musician. He's in part of a band. Matter of fact, I need to check with him and see if he got his studio up and running.
Do you need a
But
saxophone player?
hey.
No. I play mostly classical sax. So I play. If you do some jazz, I'll play trumpet. But
They do funk. They do a type of funk.
really,
Yeah. So,
mm,
I might have to exchange the numbers for y'all and whatnot. I'm a I would say intermediate piano player. I play
yeah,
piano.
for real.
Yeah, teaching myself the guitar and
Okay.
all that stuff. Yep, yep.
I did. Okay, that's cool. I mean, like I love music. Like,
Hey.
so
He said, "Come on." He said, "Come on up. Check his
is
stuff
he
out."
up in Virginia too?
Yeah, he's in Maryland actually.
Oh,
Mhm.
I might.
Virginia, Maryland. Yeah, I think
I'm
so. Yeah.
also in Maryland.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
okay, yeah, we can talk about that for sure, for sure. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's pretty much us in a nutshell. I see Jasmine said Alan Weaver. Okay, yeah, no worries. Like, I mean, I think that if you're gonna own a company, you should be transparent about what happened. Uh,
Mhm.
so if you guys ever have any other questions, please just ask us and we'll tell you. We don't really have any secrets to hide. Not
Yep.
uh,
No secrets to hide. That's what I'm talking about. No, I like the upfront, the clarity. People don't really know what happens in the background and stuff, but you guys seem upfront person. It's like, hey, this is what we're about. This is what we're doing. This is everything.
all I ask is proliferate the name, because the
Pres-
faster that we're getting 400, 500 rides a day, the faster that we can stop being government employees and just do FareRyder, the faster
Mm.
you guys get the types of things you want. Because I literally want to have a page up, and Nadia's probably hearing this now. She's like, "Oh my God, Alan!" But I want to have a page up where customers can be like, "I want this in the app." What and then we can put like a voting thing. And
Mhm.
then the customers are the ones that will pick what they want next, kind of thing.
All right. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a great show. I feel like I know FairRyder a lot more. I know you a lot better too, you know?
Thank you. It was really, really wonderful to meet you as well.
Ah, you're gonna make a black man blush. You can't do that.
Um,
But yep, so thanks for coming. Uh check out my man over there. Check out FairRyder, download the app, check out all his social medias, and we're out.
thank